What is up, everybody? It is The Secret Show episode, think 13, right? 13 episode. We are in the season of crazy stuff right now, doom and gloom and passing out candy, right? And all these things. So you know what? We were just so honored and blessed today. We did not have our system set up to do these shows, to bring in guests. So we've been waiting for a long time. And we got some help from Chad. So Chad totally helped us out. So he is our first guest on this new platform. And if you guys have been watching Take on the World TV, it has been really ran by Chad Schafer for the last like X amount of months. So Chad, thank you so much. You've been crushing it. You and your new co-host, the Almighty Duck. He's been doing awesome. Ian, thank you so much. You're probably working right now, so you're not going to join us live. So if you are joining us live, don't get fired. So yes, we are here. We are live. We've been doing some live streaming on the phone, which has been a lot of fun.
We thought this was going to be a lot more difficult and a lot more challenging than it truly is. So thank you, Chad, for doing all the legwork and finding an amazing program that is super easy to use, even for, somewhat novice that we are. We don't get in depth in those.
I really have to thank Tom and Jared on that. They're the ones who used the StreamYard. I looked into it. It seemed easy enough to use. But then we had a person who would like to remain, a couple who would like to remain anonymous. They stepped up and they provided the funds to purchase the full program of StreamYard for this year. Maybe you can tell a little bit about how we're going to do that too going forward in the future, Chris and Liz, so that we had all the neat tools that we need. And there's still more tools available in the StreamYard app that we haven't even tapped into yet. Backgrounds and overlays so that you guys aren't looking at just this plain black screen, around image. So there's still features that we haven't tapped into for the StreamYard that, we're slowly getting into the game here and up to speed, so that I for Disputed Lands anyway, I've never intended it to be a professional show, because I don't want to feel, to me, the everyday person wants to see an everyday person. They want to see somebody that they can talk to. I want to be relatable. I want to be that person that people feel like they can reach out to with this. And so I think I think there's a point where you can cross over and become that person that appears in people's minds to be an untouchable, someone they can't reach out to or talk to. I never want to be that person. So
Take on the World TV. Looks like we have it all together, but we really don't. So
flying by the seat of our pants.
So hey, this program makes us look super amazing, right? And I think we're coming in a lot clearer than we've ever come in before. So Google Hangouts was terrible. So if this is like what you guys are seeing, we probably look the most clear what we've ever, been probably ever, even doing all the shows from Now You See TV days. So it's really cool.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you, Chad.
And Terry, thank you so much. Yeah, last night's show was absolutely awesome. Man, Gary, the only downside to last night's show is Chad is so strict on his times. Gary could have easily gone for another hour and probably never even needed to take a bathroom break or a drink break because, man, he was on fire, just rolling. So, man, that was awesome. So, man.
Well, too much, what they say, too much of a good thing. My brain really couldn't have handled it last night. I mean, you have to pay attention when Gary's talking. And if you don't, if you just let your mind fade for just even 5 seconds, you're going to miss what Gary has to offer. And so my mind was already tasked at after doing the previous show with Sharon Derek, that there was no way I was going to follow him for a second hour.
And I caught a little bit of that interview with, on Dr. Mike's channel. Man, that was some heavy stuff too. So you just got heavy on top of heavy. and now you're getting nothing but fluff. So
and then
man,
we make you come join us today.
Yeah, but you know, this
this is
show,
fun.
it's a little bit different. So.
Well, I mean, we're a little bit lighter. I mean, we still got stuff to share, but we're letting Chris and Liz do some testing here, so you guys don't be surprised if the screens start moving around and stuff like that. So you guys can play with those buttons at the bottom and change some stuff around as we're talking here, just so you can get used to the studio.
Yeah.
But
yeah, well, one site that I want to push, because he never gets to push it anymore. He's always talking about everybody else.
There you go.
Yeah, if you guys don't have Chad's book, The Arches of Egypt, look at how professional I am transitioning from one thing to the other, man.
You are so professional, Chris.
Right,
it's amazing.
Right.
It's amazing. So amazing.
Well, you know what, Chad? So this is an opportunity, you know, and I'm going to get you back on the Secret Show when it's probably just me, so we could just be like guy on guy talk.
Sure.
And
no girls allowed.
No girls allowed. Yeah. What is it? The He-Man.
He-Man Woman Haters Club.
There you go. Right. So, hold on for a second. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Oh, hey, I'm just kidding.
No.
I wanted to give
she's the only thing that's making this show look good right now. So
hey, it was funny, you know. Today I had to text Chad on Liz's phone because I know he works, so I know when he gets up, he like has all his family stuff that he's probably got to get done, things around the house, eat his breakfast, drink his coffee, get going for the day. So I'm like, I think he's getting close to being up. I'm gonna text him through your phone and see if he'll respond right away. And I was probably a little bit mean. I said, hey, do you have a minute to talk? It's about me and Chris, because they're Liz's phone, and just left it open to that. And he called like 10 seconds later, of course.
You're like the Michael Scott. That's how I feel, in the office. The Michael Scott emails. Urgent A, urgent B, urgent C. Urgent D is the one you really have to open.
Yeah, right. So potentially, maybe I'm too much of a jokester. I don't know. So, but hey, I wanted to give you this opportunity, because you don't get to talk about your book, maybe what the future of what's going on. And because I know there were some changes, there's some things that you're working on in that regards. So why don't you share a little bit about that, because you never get that opportunity anymore, just to talk about Chad.
Well, this year, and I've said a number of times, I'm kind of taking a step back from doing the conferences. The only conference I will go to next year as a speaker, if invited, would be Take on the World 20. It's been 7 years really for me since starting the research and the writing of the book until today that I've just been going full bore, nonstop, night and day. And I do mean that night and day, because I work nights. And then anytime that when I was doing the research and writing, anytime I wasn't doing family working, I was researching or writing in the book. And my shifts are 10 and 12 hours. So you do a 10 or 12 hour shift, and then you do another 4 hours reading and writing before you go to bed, and then, so that was in between. And then as soon as the book became available, it's been nothing but promotion, right? Self-promotion. And you guys know, if you don't have a big production studio or producer or publisher behind you, you got to do all the footwork and legwork on your own. And so doing as many interviews, promoting, getting the information about the book out there, creating the website, maintaining that, all that stuff. So it's just really been nonstop for that. And then, of course, thankfully, you guys given me the opportunity to do my first conference, got my face in front of people, and so people really found out about what I book is about. I had the opportunity to talk about it, and that caught the attention of more people. And so the last few years, it's been 3 or 4 conferences a year, and I want to put effort into that. So then I had to condense the book into a 400-page book into a 1-hour presentation. I mean, it was hard enough to get the thesis together, to get down and succinct and clear in 400 pages. Now you want me to do that in 60 minutes. Okay. So that took a little work, and I don't want it to be the same exact presentation over and over again. So every time there's a conference, it's editing to meet that conference needs. Sometimes it was less than an hour. Sometimes I only had 45 minutes. And I put everything I do. I mean, the Bible says, do whatever you do with all your heart, mind, and strength. And I never wanted to do anything halfway for the people that were bringing me out to speak at the conference. I wanted to give it my all. So you have the preparation time for that. On top of that, I also wanted to give the book away for free. So, to those people who can't afford it. I mean, I don't, I'm in the whole negative anyway, as it is publishing the book. So let's get that right off the bat. If you actually saw the spreadsheet on finances since publishing the book, it's a negative thousands of dollars. It's not, there's no positive. I give the book away for free and a soft cover to people who have really wanted the book and they just simply didn't have the funds. I've done that. But I wanted to do it in a better way than just costing money all the time to ship the book. So I started recording it and just reading through the book for free on Fringe Radio Network. That's been put on hold the end of this midsummer, end of this year, because I just simply didn't have the time, energy to put into it. So I've only got through like chapter, I think it is 10 on that. And that was months ago. I haven't been able to do that. So I want to get back to doing that. About the book also, Darren Geisinger has come up with a beautiful cover. I wonder if I have it on here. I'll look for that while I'm talking. He came up with a beautiful cover. And so I want to actually relaunch the book, do a second edition of the book in which I fix one part that you guys should already know about with the two crossings, that section, that chapter. I want to fix that, but let's see. Let me go to, that's not it. I got to find it. Just give me a minute. A beautiful cover. I think it'll have it in here. Maybe. Is this it? That I'm going to do a relaunch of the book. I would love to have that, by end of spring this next year. No, that's the old cover. I'm probably not going to find it right away. I wasn't real prepared. But there's a new cover. I want to be able to relaunch the book, do that. Right now, still, people can get the book for free at the website you see on the screen from me, just using the promo code FRINGE, F-R-I-N-G. I pay the shipping. So I still have about 6 books here that need to go. They need to go. So you guys, if you want the book, I saw Terry. Awesome. Terry just got the book. It's been 3 years out. And, the lifespan of people's attention is today, and I'm not saying that about the audience, is, like that of a mouse, it's on to the next thing. And so, by now, pretty much saturated, unless, some get on some program like, name some big TV program out there. People have heard about the book. So I don't really do much promotion of it after this year other than the new cover. And I would like to get into research and writing. There is some potential there with a couple people, other people who have already written books, to possibly research and write and do books with them. I'll keep that private for now, just in case it never happens or manifests who those people are. But there's potential for me to research and write again with a couple other, one or two other already well-known people who have written books. So that's an exciting thought to have, to be able to research and writing. But basically just taking a step back, just doing the Disputed Lands. there is a lot of effort that maybe, people realize or don't realize that goes into producing a show. The biggest amount of time is getting a guest on a weekly basis for the show. I want to put people in people's faces, and that maybe they haven't heard or seen or had the opportunity to listen to. But that's not just, calling them up and saying, hey, you want to come on the show? If you're doing it right, you're trying to do that as far ahead in advance as possible. And then once you get that guest, it's knowing their material. So it's not just having them on, it's knowing what it is that you're bringing them on for. What is their testimony? If they're coming on to share testimony, that means hearing it first for yourself, right? So that's taking the time on the phone, listening, asking questions, making sure they're ready, comfortable, getting them prepared. Then the day of a show, producing the show can take a couple hours. You want to do a graphic, depending on how well that graphic is, that can take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how much you're putting into it. And then it's putting together the show notes for the show. And then it's getting the show scheduled in the programs. And then it's sharing it out there. So that can be 2 hours. Again, if you have any more prep time, it's reading and knowing the material of the guests you're having on, knowing what they're about. So even though it's an hour-long show for everybody here at night, that's a full day or full afternoon's worth of prep time that you spent in that afternoon, not to mention any time before. So that takes time. I mean, there's just no way around it. It takes time. And it's a joy to do it, but it's still a sacrifice that you have to make sure that people are, and it's ministry. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it does take time. It does take energy, and it's stuff that you can't spend doing other things. And so, it takes effort. It just doesn't happen on its own. And so putting that energy in to that kind of ministry, it does take energy. And so that's energy and time that you don't have spend doing other things. And so I still like to read. I still like to research for myself. If you guys know me, and you should by now, I don't like surface level stuff. I get bored real quick with surface level stuff. I want to go deep. I want to dig. And that's the same way I am in my private life when it comes to researching the scriptures. If I find something that's interesting to me, that could be many, 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 many hours of researching into to get to make sure I fully and thoroughly understand it. And then I'm always thinking, okay, if I were to present this, how should it be written so that it's understandable to someone else? I just miss being able to do that. I haven't been able to do that since, publishing the book in September 2016. I haven't been able to read really what I would say read for myself. I've been reading for others or reading what others have done and not considering that time alone, to hear from the Father what he's telling me about this, something new. It's always been rehashed. And you can only live on, it's like trying to live on the bread you baked 3 years ago, right? After a while, I mean, the Lord is new every day. His word is fresh to us every day. I want to hear him today. And
Gary Wayne's on like 6 years on his book too. So.
Right. And so the other thing is, and this is an awesome thing. The other thing that being in on the public and becoming more well known is I've had opportunities, even more so in this last year than I've ever had before, to both do two things: either counsel people one-on-one who are having real issues in their life and they're needing help. They need an encouraging word. They need somebody to listen to them. They need, maybe advice on that. So it's do counseling. I love being able to do that one-on-one counseling with people. And there are a few people a handful of people that I talk to on a regular or semi-regular basis that are helping through tough times in their life so they can get on their feet and walk with the Lord with some hope again, right? So I'm doing that. And also the discipling of people. We should be bringing people up behind us, teaching them what we know, teaching them how to do what we do so that they can walk into that calling as well, which is kind of what's happening with Ian Fiadici, you're right? Bringing him alongside. He's both a help to me, but it's also getting him in front of the camera, getting him used to operating as an interviewer. The man is gifted. He's very gifted. He has a deep understanding of many, many topics that all of us, but look, sometimes he comes up with questions. It's like, I don't even know how you came up with that. He's always saying, oh, you probably already know this, but that's not true. Not all the time. I don't know it. I've heard something about it, but he can spit out the stuff. The man has a heart for the Lord, and he has a lot to share for so young of age. He's like 10 years ahead of where I was at the same age in his understanding, knowledge, and hunger. People like that need to be discipled. They need to be allowed to do what the Father's calling them to do. So there's discipling. Again, that's ministry for me and something that we should all be about. It's time and effort.
Yeah, one of the things I know you got to do at Take on the World was you got to baptize some people this year.
Just a joy to do that as well. It's humbling and an honor. Branching out, like last night, getting to know so many more people, being called upon in times of need when, like, Brother Mike Spalding, he needed a vacation, a well-deserved vacation. Being able to step up to the plate and be that person for other people, right? This has all allowed me to be the person that the Father has called me to be. But I want to be able to continue being the person he wants to be, right? I want to continue being the person that he has called to do. I want to be the person who walks on the path that he set before me. And I want to give it my best. And we are, should all come to know what our limits are. And there comes a point where you're doing things out of the flesh. Your heart isn't there. Your mind isn't there. You're worn out, or there's something going on in your own personal life that's causing you to be on your knees in need of prayer. If you skip that, if you don't give yourself the rest, if you don't take the time to be alone with the Lord, then you're giving out of your own flesh. And, you can fake it for a little bit, but the end of the day, you're going to end up being a broken person in need of help yourself. The Spirit's not going to be in it. People aren't going to be blessed as they should be because it's not the Holy Spirit at work. It's you and people's lives. So you can fake it, but everybody knows it. You can't fool anybody when it comes to that. People know when you're faking it, who have the Spirit in them. If you have the Spirit in you can spot a fake a mile away. And don't lie to yourself. And so I just want to continue being that person. I want to continue, Take on the World TV, growing this platform, Take on the World TV, Take on the World promotions. Look, Chris and Liz, you guys, when we just met in that lobby and you saw me there, you had no idea who this crazy guy was. You knew Rob Ski, but I had no idea. You had no idea that 3 years from then, we would be sitting here today. And the truth is, you guys have become like my best friends. I mean, you are like people I go to first, right? These kind of relationships that God builds are what we need more of. And I want to continue this. That is what Take on the World TV is about. It's about bringing people to the Father, and it's about building rock solid relationships so that people who meet each other through our ministry become lifelong friends, right? They're not just casual friends that you invite over to a barbecue when you want to cook out, right? These are people that you call first in the middle of the night when something's gone wrong, and you say, hey, there's a problem. I need you to pray for me. And you know that you can call on that person, and you know you can trust them with your hearts and your minds. And they're not going to go blabbing it to their neighbors. They're going to lift you up. They're going to keep you in prayer. And so that's what, to me, I still want to be about. That's what Chad Schafer is about. It's about all those things. And I want to continue doing all those things. So taking a break, revising the book, maybe a little bit. I want to finish the book on audio so that it's out there for free to people who can't afford to buy the book. The information still needs to be there. I want to continue to do those things and then see what the Father has next. So that's what's going on with me.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Okay, so
And
now
we appreciate you,
yeah,
Chad, so much,
totally.
so much.
I want to brag on you now. So
Here we
we
go.
got to see, so we were honored, now looking back, hindsight so much, and even then we were, because we were like, nobody's just trying to put on an event, and it's like, whoa, we've got another speaker, like, whoa, this is like filling up. And so we've got to see you, the very first year, to where you are today. And I'll share that a little bit of where I'm going to brag on you on. Run and take on the world conferences. We rarely get to sit in on presentations, and that's nothing against anybody who we haven't had the chance to. I try to get in on at least everybody's for some time at the conference. And I would say, other than maybe like 3 or 4 conference presentations, I've actually got to sit in on fully over 3 years. Now we get to go back and watch them all. There are some that we haven't seen fully because we're getting those over from Now You See TV. They're going to get us those this year. So there are a few that I haven't seen. So, your first presentation, you were new.
Mhm.
And it was great info. And I've got to watch you grow, and the culmination happened this year. Because when we were at the Go Therefore conference, because we were there as guests, not putting it on, not doing anything other than just
So
sitting in a
wonderful.
chair, and we got to sit through your whole presentation. And I'll tell you, you had audio issues and technical
Yes.
problems, and you absolutely crushed that presentation. It was,
And you had probably 45 minutes, right? That was probably your
Yeah.
shortest
it was
presentation
probably
time.
your shortest presentation with the most technical problems
Yes.
all at once. But the power and authority that you spoke with, and how you brought that information to light,
Mhm.
in that presentation, I mean, everybody at the end of it, it was like,
Yep, Audrey agrees.
it
Yeah.
was unreal. It was so, I mean, and we've seen you before, and we know you, and it's like, and all of a sudden I'm going,
Well, we were like on the edge of our seats.
yeah, it was like, you did such an amazing job. Then you go to take on the world, and your main stage presentation,
Take on the World 19.
if you haven't seen that, where if you've seen his other presentations, this one is where you just spoke from your heart.
Mhm.
And people were walking out of there crying, or they were crying throughout. And so many people came up to me and told me, was that really Chad Schafer? We had never seen him do that before. So I get to brag on you and tell you, those are the 2 that I got to sit in on. I didn't leave that one, but until the final, few minutes of that, I sat in the back, and I couldn't leave. I had other presentations and other stages to check on, but I didn't leave. So if that's any consolation, you had me at that point, but it wasn't because of, it was the power and the authority that you were revealing and sharing, and just your heart for the Father in that presentation. And the challenge that it brought was something that I needed to hear, and every single person in there needed to hear. And so we thank you so much for going off the cuff and just saying, I've got a message from him and I got to share it. and he spoke through you that day, and it was absolutely
It's
amazing.
powerful.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't got to see it, go over Take on the World. You know,
Well, they're already on.
I know. Go on to the Take on the World playlist for the conference, 2019 conference. You'll be able to find, if you haven't seen all those, there's like almost 70 sessions in there. And we have some HD versions.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen those. I just uploaded Michael Solomon's the other day, and that one was awesome as well. So,
and soon to come, we hope to be getting the Take on the World 18
and 17 presentations
that Now You See TV filmed. We're going to be uploading them to the channel completely free. They've only been available through the subscription network of Now You See TV. So we're so thankful that John's going to allow us to have that and share it.
Speaking of uploading, so I've said a little bit before about this for Disputed Lands. Probably in December, Take on the World TV will be having a marathon show. The whole purpose of that will be to raise money for Josh and Christina Pack. And I've already got a number of guests, friends of Josh and Christina. So you can imagine all the people that Josh has had the ability to interview. And the goal is to pre-record those and then upload them to the channel hour after hour for as many interviews as I can get. Now, I ran into an issue. I had an external hard drive, 2 terabyte hard drive that I had and was going to use to download those two or keep them in. It takes up a lot of space to do an hour-long show and keep that in in that format. You need a lot of space. Well, that external hard drive failed, and the company that I bought it from say they no longer will support the driver on it. So I have to buy a new external hard drive now just to do the show. However, I will share some of the guests that will be appearing that I haven't done before too. You have already agreed to interview Dr. Michael Lake, L.A. Marzulli, Derek and Sharon Gilbert. There is the potential. I'm reaching out. I hope he gets the message, and I hope he comes on. Kevin Sorbo. You guys know who he is?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get him. So anybody you can think of that are friends of Josh and Christina Pack, we hope to be doing an interview where they can come on, all for the goal of raising money for them. And we're going to do as many interviews as I can. So if I get 24 interviews, all pre-recorded, and that's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort, then you're going to have 24 hours of back-to-back episodes being uploaded and played to raise money for Josh and Christina Pack. If we get 36 interviews, it's going to be 36 hours of back-to-back-to-back. So the goal is to have a marathon of interviews to raise money for them because they need it, and they're well deserving of our hearts and our what we can give them to do it. So,
you know what's so cool? I just saw in my newsfeed today that Erin of Health Nut News, and I know a lot of us crunchy people probably follow Health Nut News, but she shared their story of how, their son's been battling leukemia. On her website, she actually shared their Facebook post about how he had to receive the flu vaccine and how he ultimately got the flu, and it lowered his blood counts, and he's just an uphill battle now from them giving him the mandatory flu vaccine. But I was like, whoa, their stories made Health Nut News, which that's definitely one of the top sites. Erin, who runs it, is married to Dr. Mercola, who has the #1 health website out there. So that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, maybe you remember, maybe you don't. So back in a previous job, I mixed chemotherapy for 9 years at St. Vincent Hospital here in Indianapolis. I was there and helped put in the policies and procedures on the pharmacy side for the pediatric oncology program in the Peyton Manning Children's Hospital there at St. Vincent. And when I found out that they gave an immunocompromised child a vaccine, there's no excuse for that. That should never, ever happen. And anyway, I'm just going to leave it at that. It should never happen. That should never happen, ever.
Mm-hmm.
And furious. I'm livid. I'm being polite now, but you can believe me. When I found out about it, I couldn't be silent personally in my room. I was voicing my thoughts on that out loud.
It's just complete opposite of what mainstream medical tells us, that we have to get the vaccine to protect those immunocompromised people. It's all about herd immunity.
Yeah.
But yet, what I found out even before he was given the flu vaccine, that's totally inaccurate. There are so many people who are fighting for their lives on the cancer wards and that are given vaccines, given them. It's baloney.
It is. It really is. It's it's all about the making the money, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And they don't care to sacrifice your children to do it.
Right.
That's
right.
the bottom line.
Control, greed, all of it combined, and it's just so.
What? Free
book.
Free book.
Yeah. Chris is playing around with everything.
Well, you can get it for free if you go to the Fringe Radio Network. I will pull that up and get that address on there for you guys.
Go. You make that banner.
Yeah. I'm still promoting. People are going to the website like crazy. I mean,
that's how you do marketing.
People are reporting they can't get on your website. There's too much traffic. But you know what? If you can buy the book, you can still go buy the book on Amazon, correct?
Yes.
Amazon and through Arches of Egypt. So if you do go to Arches of Egypt thinking that there is a free book there, you won't find it, but you'll have to pay for it. But that's okay. That's how you get people there. But it's on another network where you can actually get it for free. So he's going to put that link up here.
Yeah. Well, you can get the audio version and it's not completed yet. I want to be able to finish that, but you can get it in an audio version where I read through the book word for word and then give my commentary along the way. I haven't got it completed yet. I'm only got to like chapter 10. I want to finish it. But I'm going to get that link for you guys here so you can find it. Maybe you didn't know there was one. So
awesome. Well, I know, Chris, you had some other hot topics.
Okay, so before we jump into that, but because I don't want to go back off of this, I've got you with I'm gonna start. I'm gonna give you an easy one. You got to give me all these. Normally I do hot seat questions, and I normally don't do them with Liz around, because we're always too serious on those shows. But I'm gonna give you super easy, Chad. I want you to give me your 5. So it's all 5 questions in one question.
Oh,
but you got to give me 5.
Listen, pay attention.
Okay.
So
you ready? So you got to give me 5 of your Disputed Lands bucket list guest all time that you want, that you need to get sometime this year. See if we can knock off a few. These are bucket list people that you've never worked with before that you want to do a show with.
I don't know that I can come up with 5. That's
you've got to. I mean, that's
or 3, top 3.
I mean, it would be very cool to get Kevin Sorbo on here. Not gonna lie.
Okay.
I would love to have Tom Horn as a guest. So that's 2. Believe it or not, and I'm kind of wimping out on you here, but there's another well-known person that has never been on the show as a guest, Rob Skiba. He has never been on Disputed Lands as a solo guest.
It's really not a bucket list, though, since you've been such good friends with Rob.
Well,
hey,
hey, no, you can't do after after the challenge, you can't go be changing the rules
All
on
right,
me.
all right.
Let's see. Yeah, Russ Distar would definitely be one
Okay,
to make
that's
the
three.
bucket list. So that's 4.
And you add Rob.
Okay.
Let's see.
Rob, we know he's not watching, so we'll add Rob to the list.
Yeah, a 5. Right. The 5th one. Who would be the 5th one? You're gonna have to let me think on that. Who I really would like to get on here.
Well, one that you definitely have to get is a new author and a longtime supporter of us, which is April Ray and her new book.
Yes, April Ray is. See, that's another thing. So April sent me her book in a PDF like 6 months ago, and I've been meaning to sit down. I haven't had time to read it. So I didn't want to bring April on to talk about it. Again, like I said, not having read the information, not knowing what they look, people put their hearts. I know you put your heart, your mind, and your soul into that work. The person interviewing you, that person who has put their heart and life deserves someone taking it in. They deserve to have someone interviewing who's read it and understands where they're coming from. They deserve that. And I don't want to just bring her on not having done that. I mean, she could send me a list. She could send me a checklist. Hey, I would like to touch on this, this, and this in the book. And I've done those interviews where in the past where that's what they've done because I didn't get through the whole book or whatever. You can do an interview that way. So it's doable. But like I said, I want to put my heart into it. I want to put my mind into it. I want to know where they're coming from, where they're going, what exactly that person means by it. So I want to give them the time. I haven't been able to give April's book the time. I want to be able to sit back with coffee, get a blankie, curl up in the corner of the couch, put my headphones on and read it and say, oh, April, that's awesome. This is good. And I want to be able to know when that's coming in the interview. So I want to be able to give April that time so I can bring her on Disputed Lands. I haven't been able to give her that time, and I feel like I've cheated her. But we'll get her on. But I haven't been able to give that time. This year, I will be able to take that time.
And that enough time for you to think too? You're only on 4.
No, I was talking.
That doesn't. You can think at the same time.
What would be really cool? To get a really well-known public figure. I'm talking about really well-known. To snag one of these folks that people are bashing all the time. I don't care where they've made a confession of Christ. A person like Kanye that people have come out, or a Justin Bieber, right? That a well-known figure that has come to Christ and look, I know that they still get bashed and worse by the Christians themselves because they have just made a confession and yet they see all over their lives evidence of things that not changed. I want to know which of you out there, the day you made a confession of Christ, knew everything you needed to know to walk a biblical life. I mean, come on. Right. None of you did. You don't give anybody a chance. We don't give anybody a chance to work out their salvation. We want them to have it all day one. And these public figures, they get bashed out. Look, I'm not Hollywood known, right? I'm not. But over the last 3 years, I've had the opportunity to be known by people that I didn't know, right? So I can tell you how weird it was for me, and you guys could probably relate to this, to have somebody come up and introduce themselves, and you go, hey, I'm, they say, hi, I'm so-and-so, and you say, hi, I'm Chad Schafer, and have them go, oh, I know who you are, I know all about you. Look, that's a very weird feeling to have experienced that for the first time, to be known by somebody and not know them. So I've experienced a little bit of that. Now I can't imagine and have people know who I am and about me, about my, about my personality, my thoughts and stuff, to know that without knowing them, right? A one-sided relationship. And I've had the opportunity now for people to also more so with the Now You See TV crowd because it's a broader audience or much more larger audience. So there's much more diversity. Fact of it, there's much more diversity in that audience to be criticized and have people sending you emails. Now, I don't get them as much as I used to, but there wasn't a week go by that somebody didn't criticize me for something that happened on the show. Either I didn't answer or respond to somebody in the manner that they thought I should have. I've had people criticize what I wore on the interview. I had people on that same interview criticizing what I wore. Somebody else sent me an email saying, man, you just, even though you were in your everyday shirt, it looked absolutely perfect. The same interview. People will take the time to send those. So I've had the opportunity to be criticized, about who I am or my thoughts on something or my stance on the scripture. And that's just the small. Can you imagine millions of people watching you in your every move, judging, criticizing, thinking about every move you make, so that you're fully exposed all the time, and you try to walk out your faith in that manner? I mean, it's no wonder these guys go crazy. Being so well known, people wanting their pictures all the time, wanting a piece of them all the time, trying to take from them all the time. It's no wonder they go crazy. So anyway, my point is, okay, you come to faith in that situation. You come to faith after having millions of people know you, and then everybody watching everything that you say and do, and then add the Christian fanatics on top of that. Anyway, I would love to have a Kanye. I would love to be able to nab one of them, or a Justin Bieber, or someone. I would love the opportunity to get to know them and be the person to witness to them, to talk to them, and to disciple them through the scriptures. Did you guys ever stop to think about that opportunity? I mean, out there that want to criticize them, instead of nagging at and criticizing, why not send an email and say, hey, can I talk to you? Can I be that person for you? You never know. One thing I've learned about this life is you just never know. You can't turn the Lord off to anything. He can make it happen. I would love to be that person, to be able to say, to be a friend and walk them through scripture and help them in their journey to the Lord. That's what I'd like to do. Yeah. So,
yeah. Actually, so now I want to test something out to see if I can do something.
You got bubble gum? I got a real neat trick for you. It takes bubble gum.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can share my screen.
You're gonna need bubble gum, a hula hoop, and a lighter.
And while you're doing this, you want to give some of your really good Forrest Gump impressions.
Yeah, we can do that.
Because this is because he is you're from a certain part of a country, so it comes natural to you.
He's always making fun of where I grew up. Not like I had any control over that. I mean, this is Sweet Home Alabama. So my wife's yelling at me. Can you guys hear her in the background? What are you doing in there? You guys are getting me in trouble. No.
I'm gonna see if I can screen share something.
You're just talking to friends.
I'm just talking to friends. Sorry to ruin your Black Panther party.
All right, so I want to show you guys this. If you guys have not seen this, this was pretty interesting.
It's way back there.
It's way back, and this guy's
searching through Instagram photos.
Yeah, so I can't. Hold on, let me show you
another favorite person.
Let's do this. Let's have awkward dead air.
Okay. Okay. Can you guys still see? Can you still see me? Because I'm not on the screen.
They're still watching.
Okay. So.
Okay. So you have to click now. Yeah, to click the bottom.
There it is.
All right. Here we go.
Found it.
I got it. I'm good.
Okay.
Okay. So I want to share a screen. Okay. That one. Okay. Close the tip. Okay. All right. So I'm going to share my screen.
No, right down there.
Okay, share screen. Okay, I got it.
We'll get this.
Okay,
Okay.
Now you got to click the far right on the bottom there below our picture.
Can you do it in a Forrest Gump accent? Because that would have been better.
Go ahead.
In the bottom below the camera, the far right, you see the square where it's by itself. When you do screen share, you got to click on that, so it takes us away.
Okay.
There you go. It's happening. Something's happening.
Did you share yet?
Oh yeah. It did because that pulled up now.
Okay. So I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
There you go.
Looks like it.
Yep.
Can you see that?
Yes, there you go.
Okay. Yeah. So this is George. He had the opportunity to go back hosting an event.
George with the beads.
Let me see if
you can pull up his post that he wrote.
Yeah,
with
where's
it.
the post that goes to it?
Try go to post.
Go to post?
Yeah, try that.
Okay, go to post. And man, Justin Bieber showed up to this event not to be recognized, not to be in front, not to do anything. He was just coming to try to get a word for himself. And he found him backstage. All the big Christian artists were there. You know, all the speakers, Lecrae, and all the artists. And George was the host on the stage. And so if you're not on Instagram or Facebook and you don't follow George Moss, here's your chance to do that. But this post was actually, you know, he got to spend time and pray with him for probably like over an hour, and just get to listen to him, just get to hear his, you know, what's, you know, the things that he's struggling with, the things that he has to deal with being, you know, extremely popular in this world standards, you know, quite crazy. So let me jump back, stop sharing my screen. So yeah, so go check that out. And now I know how to share my screen on this. So thank you so much. So yeah, George Moss, if you guys don't know, Take on the World, you know, he is our guy. He's the one who wrote the song. He is, you know, pretty much behind everything. So man, and look at that.
Who's in the chat.
Look at who's in the chat. I'm gonna have to highlight. Look at this. There he is.
The Alan Aguirre himself.
Alien himself.
So here again, Alan can tell you. But I remember that post from George, and I also remember what George said. Do you remember what George said about that?
I did, but go ahead.
So George is again a very well-known guy. He's much more well-known than any of us are by a lot of people because of that's his ministry. And he snapped that picture and posted it, and he said, right immediately do it. He said he was pricked by the Holy Spirit. Why? Why? He says, here this guy is. People take from him all the time. And here I was when he was trying to remain anonymous, snapping a picture and taking from him. He says, Justin was kind enough to do it. You know, he didn't think anything of it. He says, but the Holy Spirit pricked him for taking from this guy when that's what people do. You know, I remember that post. Obviously, it stuck with me.
You're right. Yeah, that was pretty profound.
Yeah.
But Alan can probably sympathize with that. I mean, there was a time when people knew who he was. I mean, nobody knows who he is now or cares, but I'm kidding, Alan. I'm kidding. But Alan's been that guy on stage, right? So he's been, you know, where the guy that people are going to see at an event, right? Or the group, part of the band, the lead singer, right? And people are going to see him. So he understands that aspect of that. There are different aspects of when people are taking from you, right? Which that's okay. There are times when that's what you're doing. That's what it's all about. It's about people, it's about giving. But when people take from you and you're not in the place where you need to be, where you can give, ugh. Did I say that again? Ugh.
Yeah.
Spell that, would you, Chris? Can you spell that and put it as a banner? Ugh.
Need the button. Just press that.
Right.
Anyway, so what else you guys want to talk about?
Well, we're getting close to that time where, if I stay on Chad time,
We're about done, right?
Holy moly.
I know, right? We just blew through an hour.
It goes
That's why
fast.
secret shows really are like 2 hours long. In the case of me and Alan's show, what did we do? Like, I think it was like 3.5 hours, and I had to like tell Alan, I'm done, dude. I can't hear you chat anymore. And actually, it's like quite the opposite. It's probably the only show that Alan's ever done where he's had to remain extremely quiet because I just kept talking over him the whole time. So that was episode 2. So I've learned. He said whatever.
We just have a good time chatting with our
yeah,
friends.
Yeah. So yeah, Alan, when are we doing another secret show? So we got to do that. So I might be joining Alan for a show. We may do something on a Tuesday. I still got to get you that answer. We're going to be pretty busy up until the conference coming up. But I'm going to be doing lots of live streaming, lots of crazy stuff coming up.
FEIC in Dallas.
It's your super secret show. It's your super secret show, and I'm going to ask you one question, and I'm actually going to exit the room, and you guys can answer.
Ooh, okay. You can't do that, but yeah.
Hot seat. Oh, I'm going to. Take on the World 2020.
Okay.
Will we have a Take on the World 2020?
Well, we okay. So here's what we've done. So if you guys go back, we have 2 videos up already.
He exited his screen.
He wasn't even kidding. He's like, I'm done. So we have go watch. We've done 2 videos where we've started our journey.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all entitled "Journey to Find a New Home." The first place we checked out is this place. It's called Heartland. And that's the outdoor school version. That's the homeschool version.
Sorry.
So this is the camp.
It's
that's a good picture to start with.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah. It is pretty awesome.
A cool place.
Yeah. We could definitely see ourselves at this place. It's got lots of stuff for kids. It's a camp. This is their conference center. It holds about 800 people.
Mm-hmm.
So really, really nice. So a little bit bigger than Beulah Beach.
It's actually, the whole place is huge.
It's on 360 acres, so
yeah,
it's enormous.
It's huge. I mean, you can drive to and from different stages almost, but it's a really neat place. It has a different feel, and that's what we really have to be open to. I think we got really comfortable at Beulah Beach. We just loved the scenery, the retreat-like feel. It just became our home. And we told them that. We told them this will be our home for as long as you'll have us. And unfortunately, that was 2 years. So we are really for direction, praying that we are open to receive what the Father has for us.
So we'll probably check out a few more places, but I know this location is definitely eager to get us some paperwork. And I had loose mouth, I guess.
Diary of the mouth. Let's be honest.
Secret show. She just said it. I kind of told him everything, a lot of things that we talked about, and a lot of the things that we do at Take on the World, and a lot of the things that have happened with the spiritual warfare. I didn't really hide anything. If this guy was gonna not have us because what takes place at Take on the World, you better know up front rather than later. Let's just let him find about it later. I'm going,
I didn't say that. I was just like, keep this on the down low for now.
Yeah, I mean, slaying demons on the front lawn, shout out to Through the Black Eyes. But stuff like that, and some of the topics and some of the things, and they didn't have any objection to a lot of things, and so it was really, really cool. And Take on the World in Utah. Now, see, here's the problem. A lot of people give us a lot of great advice because there's places all over this country. Until me and Liz actually have the ability to travel and do a lot of those things, we've got to scope out the place. We've got to be in there. We've got to lay on the beds. We've got to do all the things. I mean, seriously, you got to it's like you gotta go in their kitchens. You got to
Yeah.
look this. I mean, we're never going to go to a place that
it requires a lot of visits because we really want to make it an amazing experience. We know the father's going to show up, and we just want everything to be perfect.
Yeah, as
really
much as we can. We can control as much as we can control. When you're doing at a big location like Robbie Davidson does his big conferences at hotels. Well, you know what to expect. Everything's going to be perfect. Everything's ran great. When you're dealing with camps and you're dealing with campgrounds, what's the location like? Is there a backup if it rains? These are things that you have to actually physically see. Look at the spaces. Does it work? Does it work? How do these things?
Yeah.
So, to travel, just a few hours is probably the most we can do. So it's always going to probably stay within the realms of potentially, Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, Pennsylvania, the things that surround us. So, or maybe even Kentucky at now. That's, our goal is still to keep the hub here in Ohio. We still feel called to this area, and it just is what it is. So right now, Heartland is pretty awesome. And April, you definitely should be making it to that to one day and maybe even speaking. So we'll talk about that.
Texas. Well, April, how close are you to Dallas? Write that in the comments.
Yeah.
Maybe we can.
Well, she could hear us. So I don't know if we want to end the show. I mean, Chad has fully gone. He fully ditched us. I mean, he was still sitting in the background. I could see him. I was going to add him back, but he is completely gone. A secret show just with the two of us is not so much fun. So I want to thank you guys so much. We had a couple things we were going to talk about, but you know what? That's up to Liz. Do you want to talk about those things, or do you want to pass?
Save it.
We can save it? Okay, we'll do it another day. We can actually do it on some things. So we're actually working on doing. So here's our promise. Now that we have the system set up and rolling, we'll be doing lots of secret shows where we'll just be interviewing random people at many, many, many different times of the day. It could be in the daytime. It could be in the nighttime. You just never know. So make sure you subscribe, have your notifications on so it dings your phone or dings your laptop or whatever you're on. So we're going to be doing that. Flat Out Insights. We've got lots of shows. Me and Michael, we've been working on a presentation. So pray for us. We are like way behind everything right now, and we are procrastinators at heart.
Chris is the king of that.
I don't know. Michael might be right there with me because I talked to Michael today.
That's never good. The two of you are being the same.
So I sent him my parts of my presentation, and I asked Michael, I called him up on the phone today. So here's Michael. He's got Gary and Faye. They're hanging out at their house today.
Oh, well, then of course.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so he's got the Arboss hanging over at their house. I actually should just call them and had them all jump in this call too, because they got four awesome people over there. Shout out to Gary and Faye Town. You guys are awesome. But so I'm talking to Michael, and Michael goes, well, I downloaded your part of your presentation.
Oh, no.
And I opened it up. So that's as far as he's gotten with his presentation. He's opened up mine. So we actually have to have this into Robbie by
probably by now.
It's Friday. It's Friday. So we've got till Friday. And so Thursday happens to be one of the most amazing days in history, because it is the day that Vanilla Ice was born.
And
me. So Robert Van Winkle, Vanilla Ice, was born that day, and I was born that day too. So that's a little joke. Obviously, it is the high satanic holiday, and we had some thoughts about it, but we're going to save that. We'll talk about that another day. But other things going on with Take on the World. I did talk to Ian Chadwick. He's got some new episodes of the Reality Distortion Effect. So those are going to be coming out. And then we're going to be doing, now here's the thing. We will be doing some,
that's a good comment.
Yeah, we'll be doing, which one?
Well, cake, baby. That's right. If you saw my other tabs open when we did the screen share, I'm going to be making Minimalist Baker is an awesome site to follow. I'm going to make their 1 bowl vegan gluten-free carrot cake. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
So there, let's see how that works when we're by ourselves. So we will be doing, there it is. Awesome. So now we're getting the hang of this thing.
You got to make sure you click the show.
Okay.
There we go.
So we'll be doing some biblical health, the return of biblical health. We did one presentation all of last year, and that was at Take on the World conference. And so Liz has got a lot in her head. She's been actually studying and doing a lot of things and doing all the normal things she's been doing, but she's had no outlet to do it on. So Liz is going to be coming back with biblical health. I'll be standing by her and interrupting her when she's speaking. That is my promise. That's what's made us such a good team over these years, is that when she speaks, I overspeak over her, and then the comments are going, would you just let her actually speak? Actually, there were many times.
It's the other way around.
There were many comments that was the other way around, but that was so funny. So go back and read those comments on Now You See TV. With this, like, so many things are like, shout out to whoever said at one point in time, would this woman ever let him run the household? Because she never lets him speak. That was a real comment. So shout out to that person. I love you. That's actually really mean because it's not true. Only sometimes. Only the majority of times. So
I'm watching my attitudes. I've been having a refining process, I think.
Yeah.
All of us will
Jezebel spirit, no doubt about it. So
we
we joke and love, but here we go. So that is what's going on. Now we have a lot of shows coming up. So like, subscribe, and one thing that Chad said, to run on this cool platform does cost. So what we're going to be doing is all the monetization that we make over the years, over this year, we'll hope that it pays fully for everything going on. Yeah, for this
subscription.
Yeah. So thank you so much to the person who wants to remain completely anonymous for donating for this year to Chad. And it's actually working for the whole program and platform. So we'll be able to grow that and continue for next year to have it be completely self-sufficient, if the Father provides that. So, Chad, thank you so much for being here today. Any final thoughts or anything that you would like to share?
Taking that sly exit.
Yeah, so The Arches of Egypt is where you guys can go to find Chad. Chad interviews everybody, and he's so selfless. But here, this show, we wanted to just like really highlight Chad and really show you how much amazing guy he truly is, and show all the love to him. So, I don't know. Our viewers went up. I don't know. So, I don't know. Do you want to talk about what we were going to talk about, or what?
If you want to do it in concise.
Okay, we can do it. So Liz went to a Bible study today.
Yes, if anybody's ever been a part of BSF, Bible Study Fellowship, it's really cool. I will tell you, I've been looking for something that provides accountability and a little bit, deeper dive into everything, and it's face to face. So the place that opens up for BSF near us also has kids programs. So for homeschoolers, it's pretty awesome that they can have their own lesson and time while the parent also
and some interaction. Let's not lie. Except for he cried today, and
he did. He's having a tough time.
So, which is really cool. They've been going over some things, and Liz has been dropping like some feast day knowledge and some other really cool things in the Bible study. But today, Liz thought maybe her dukes had to be a little bit up because the study happened to be on Acts 10.
Acts 10 and 11.
And Peter's vision. So we had some thoughts about, after she went, and we had some talk about this all last night. And so why don't you share what actually took place? Because what we thought was going to take place and what actually didn't take place.
Well, I think so many of us who have been in this community and have researched this passage out in depth, you are just naturally going into it with, guns up, like, okay, I know somebody of things, they're going to take this out of context and they're going to say it's all about being able to eat unclean. So in my preparation last night, Chris and I were writing down a bunch of notes. So I'm like, okay, that's a really good point. I'll make sure I say that, and then this, and if somebody says this, I'll this point, and I had it all written down in my notes, so I was prepared. And so our study begins, and we get to that set of questions where the leader talks about, okay, so what was his vision about, and what was Peter's objections, and how does this relate to today, and all of that. And I just sort of sat back waiting to see what some of the other thoughts were on the topic, and pretty much, I mean, one other person first said, well, it's about how, salvation is for everyone. And I was like, whoa. It was just totally opposite of what we would naturally think.
Yeah, no talk of unclean food.
No.
Or clean or unclean, like you could eat whatever you want. That wasn't even brought up, was it?
No, not at all. Because in the study, we're going through verse by verse by verse. We're not picking and choosing what we want out of the passage. We are literally reading the whole entire chapter by chapter. And when you read it in its entirety, it couldn't be more clear. I mean, even Peter reiterates the whole vision and story in Acts 11. So have been able to take that out of context all this time is just literally mind-blowing. It just shows how you can easily be duped if you're just looking at somebody else's words and where they just take pieces of scripture versus you going to the word without any preconceived notions and just reading it for what it says. And it was just super encouraging and super enlightening to hear from all these other women, which was about 12 other women in this small group. How we were all on the same page, and how, I was able to tell them, I've researched this in depth, and, this reflects Hosea 2, 18 through 24, literally word for word. And that's how Peter, he got that third confirmation, but that's how he was able to remember, yes, this was said word for word in, yes, I know what you mean. Nobody is uncommon or unclean, and salvation and the gift of the gospel is for everybody. It was pretty awesome, and it just made me sit back and think, how often do we thumb through our news feed, seeing our friends, we're just congregating online, where you can have keyboard warriors and say whatever they want to say without that condemnation, or that rejection, or of being face to face, because you wouldn't say those things face to face to somebody that you would online. And so many get caught up in constantly just sharing meme after meme after meme, and without giving proper verbiage and loving, context to everything. Do we in this community always have our dukes up, ready for a fight? Or are we really just sharing this in love and helping somebody to truly see what's there instead of just blah, Yeah.
So if you're not familiar with the passage, and I was trying to screen share, but I could just read that real quick. So if you're not familiar, the key to unlocking, Peter's vision, we would say, well, it's already in the interpretation, and which is totally true. It's twice. We get the interpretation of it just a few verses later, yeah. And then we get in Acts 11, we get the same interpretation. But really the key, as Liz mentioned, is Hosea 2, because we know that Yahweh does nothing unless if he reveals it to the prophets first. And here in Hosea 2, where he actually mentions, these things by the exact name, right? He uses the birds of the air, the beast of the field, and the creeping things as a reference to people in Hosea. And as we know, they're referred to people because he says, those that weren't my people shall be my people, and I shall be their God. This is what Peter is reflecting on. And that's why in that he shows them those exact same things, the birds of the field, the creeping things, and the beast of the field. Why they're exactly those things, and why that knee-jerk reaction is, no, I've never eaten anything uncommon or unclean. Well, that is the key to unlocking this passage. But here's the thing that I really want to share is, we use that as an apologetic for eating biblically clean. And the world uses it as an apologetic to eat whatever you want. So they're both focused on food. And that is the problem. That passage is not about food. And we lose the power of it when we use it only, obviously we may need to use it apologetically if we're trying to defend it. But are we really using that passage how it's really intended to do? Which is for us to go out and share him with the world. And that's the true beauty behind that passage. Throw out all man-made traditions, what you think about this group of people, that group of people, how the Jews thought about the Gentiles, how they considered them dirty dogs, all of those things, and he had to break all that down, because none of those were Torah commands. Those were all Talmudic man-made traditions to never eat with them, never go over to their homes. Those were all things you couldn't do based upon culture and their society. What was, what needed to be brought down, what needed to be destroyed. And we use it today as an apologetic to show people they can't eat whatever they want, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but was never the intention of it. It was always to show the intention that this gift is for everyone, and what are we doing with it? So that's our challenge, is what are we doing with that? Are we using that passage to go around and bang over people's head that they can't eat bacon, and this passage isn't about that? Or are we going around and sharing him with the world? Let all that other stuff figure itself out. Here's a whole group of people who probably probably don't eat biblically clean. And yet they know that passage has nothing to do with food when they read it in context, when they study it out. So let that happen. Let the Holy Spirit guide them to truth, because that's what he will do. He'll guide them right back to his commandments, his truth. And, we can hold hands in processes. And I know Liz has got to share a lot about the feast days and those things. And zero reaction, except for positive, right?
Oh yeah, it's been completely positive. A lot of people are really understanding more of the Old Testament, and that's what's, I think, unique about BSF, and that's I believe it's nationwide. Their studies aren't like the typical church. They definitely delve into parts of the Old Testament and the New, but it's unlike any study I've done before, where it's really scripturally based. And that's what I love.
But your voice is still heard. So even if there is something that you wanted to bring up, you get a chance to do that. And
absolutely,
maybe that's where things can happen on different levels, and there's allowing iron to sharpen iron, things that you've never considered, maybe.
And I even forgot to tell you this. So the last portion of the study is sort of talking about how, these passages that you read, how has it changed your outlook and understanding God, and how can you use this in your everyday life type deal. And so what I put in there, and the instructor's like, does anybody have an aha moment? And I'm like, I do. Of how all of these passages show God's redemption plan, and how it has always been for all of mankind. And when I was reviewing this last night with Chris, And he's like, and it was there from the beginning of creation. So I had a short bit to be able to say to everybody, look back on day 4 when the sun, moon, and stars were created, how those were all designed with the appointed times. And if you study that further with the Moedim, and it all reflects back to the death, burial, and resurrection of our Savior, and that salvation message is for all. And everybody was just sort of like, interesting. And the main leader's like, I was just at a study the past week, and we really looked in depth. We're learning about creation. And what you just said is really eye-opening, because I never understood that fully of the sun, moon, and stars. But yes, they were talking about how that they were fixed in place for these appointed times and what they mean. And I said, yeah, isn't it amazing how there's so much depth and meaning to scripture, and how easy it is to just gloss over these things? Like,
how did they get fixed? How did they get that those are fixed in place from those verses? But hey,
I let that be.
But hey, that's where iron can still sharpen iron. If Alan's here, he'll know. He'll love that one. But, so yeah, that's our encouragement, So, when you're out there, trying to reach the world and trying to love one another, just do those things. Go out, love one another, share him.
Right. And let the Spirit lead.
Yeah. Yeah. The most effective way to share truth is to show love and to reveal these things in truth and in love. That's that way,
Emily, I love you, Emily.
Yeah. Liz did not say anything about flat Earth in there, so she wouldn't have the guts to do that.
Just planting the seeds.
She wouldn't have the guts to
planting.
do it. Yeah. Well, I would have said that the rotation of the sun, moon, and the stars reveal these things. So that episode is still coming. I promised you guys that one for a while. I've been unfocused, but Flat Out Insights Feast Day episode is definitely coming, and how it all works in enclosed cosmology. So I'll be revealing that, something I'm working on. Hey, if you don't agree, come and tell me why. So yeah, really, really awesome stuff. So thank you so much for being there. I know we got Chad is still in the chat. So Chad, I put you up there. Anyone who else wants to be baptized or recommit themselves at Take on the World 2020, let me know. Yeah, willing. I think he's already willed you to be there, and he'll be there. So, Paul on the plane. We'll see you, and I think Emily Pittsford. We'll see you guys in like a couple.
Very soon.
Yeah, we'll see you guys really soon. We got to get Paul on the show. Paul has had us on the show, and so we got to get Paul on one of these secret shows. So I'm super pumped to do that. I think I should get Paul and his mom on the show. That would be a lot of fun. So whoever wants to see that, please chime in. So man, we thank you guys so much for being here with us today. And I think that's it. I mean, the other thing that we were going to talk about, I don't know if we want to talk about that too, but
we'll save it. Save it. That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one for another show.
Yeah. So Blake, we will connect soon. I got like phone messages of like work stuff to do. So I will go ahead and do that. So we will connect, and thank you guys all for being here. Next episodes will be coming anytime in regards to Secret Show. So
yeah, we're excited. We finally have a program to use, so we've got some really
Liz
cool
has got some
coming.
Liz has got some great shows, some great guests lined up. I've got a bucket list of people that I want to get on here, so it's like 40 people long. It's not Kanye West or Justin Bieber like Chad's on his bucket list, but we've got some really, really cool guys.
What's your small bucket list?
My small bucket list? Who can I expect to be on this show?
Yeah.
I don't know if I should reveal that.
Oh, okay. Keep it secret.
Yeah. Actually, I have I'm working on one that I can tell you, which would be really, really cool. I've got somebody that if he will do it, he's got a lot. He actually ran a radio show for probably a decade or so that was all devoted to defending the faith against Roman Catholicism. And so that would be a very interesting show. So super excited for that. One that nobody knows him, but those that do know him, they'll be like, whoa, he's on your show. But it really shouldn't. Yeah, he'll go viral. So I know he's not watching because he's never even seen one episode. And I happen to be related to the guy. So I think I've got a lot of people that I'm going to have on, and we'll have a blast. So
exciting times ahead.
Yeah. So
thanks so much for joining us, everyone, and sticking it out with us.
Yeah, we'll have to
test out this new program.
Yeah, we'll have to get Audrey, April on some secret shows where we're just like definitely really informal. So you guys got some great information to share on that. So thank you guys for being here. We're going to sign off officially. Secret Show episode 13. If you missed one, go watch them. They help us. So love you guys. See ya.
Bye-bye.